Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us on another beautiful day in America. Board Czar Tom Homan with a big announcement today coming out of Minnesota. The end to Operation Metro Surge in Minnesota after weeks of violent Marxist leftist protests is coming to an end, sadly. Take a listen to Tom Homan earlier this afternoon with the announcement.
With that, and success that has been made arresting public safety threats and other priorities since this surge operation began, as well as the unprecedented levels of coordination we have obtained from state officials and local law enforcement, I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude. A significant drawdown has already been underway this week and will continue through the next week. We have a lot of work to do across this country to remove public safety risk who shouldn't even be in this country, and to deliver on President Trump's promise for strong border security and mass deportation. Law enforcement officers drawn down from this surge operation will either return to the duty stations or be assigned elsewhere to achieve just that.
Now, make no mistake, I don't think President Trump would have made that concession without getting something on the other side. Now, what has previously been reported was they wanted them to turn over files of illegal criminals, people who have been arrested. Not that all these people in this country aren't criminals, because you broke the law coming into this country, with, by definition, makes you a criminal. But the ones who have been arrested for some sort of external crimes that they committed once they committed the crime of coming into America, he wanted those names turned over. It's also been reported that they may want to look into some of the voter stuff, which we're going to be talking about today. Among some other things, with one of our favorite guests here on the Great America Show, former senior NSA intel analyst and whistleblower Russ Tice, is going to be joining us in just a few moments. So hang tight while we get through some of the big stories of the day. So I think since this operation began on December 1st, and approximately 3,000 federal immigration agents that have been deployed to the Twin Cities area, I don't think President Trump is making this concession without getting something on the other side. What he got, we may never know, but I don't think he did this just as a goodness deal out of his heart with corrupt Tim Walz. So maybe soon we'll figure out what it was. Could be the voter registration data. Could be the illegals over there that they're going to go ahead and target just with ICE alone. We may soon find out. We may never find out. A new report out today, which is being covered, folks, by one of our favorite outlets, the Gateway Pundit, who I have to say does just such a terrific job at their reporting, shows that 28% vote, folks, voter verifications have no match at the Social Security Administration. Since 2004, the Social Security Administration has provided a simple process to help states with verifying voter applicants. It's called the HAVV system. States send in the names, the date of birth, and the last four digits of voter Social Security numbers. The SSA then notifies the state if the person is deceased, alive, and matches SSA records, or simply no match is found. 13% of all HAVV verifications processed in 2025 came back as no match. That's just over 318,000 of the almost 4 million submitted. Since 2011, almost 29% of HAAV submissions came back with no match. They go on to say for the past 15 years, the federal government, SSA, has been unable to match 28 million voter submissions for the states to the information in its comprehensive computer systems. Feds have every right to know what garbage is being processed at the state level or our federal elections. Now, this is happening, folks, right here in America. And this is one of the big things. If you guys follow Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton has been talking about for years, cleaning and purging the voter rolls. People stay on voter rolls after they die. I have family members who have died who right here in New York still get their mail-in ballots. They'd be 103 or 4. No, they died. One of my grandparents died at 102. The other one died, we think at 103. We never found her birth certificate. But 102, 103. So they'd be about 108 today if they were still alive. And this is happening, folks, as I said, all across America. So it's no wonder the Marxist Dems and the rhinos want nothing to do with any sort of voter legislation. The one in particular, the SAVE Act, which yesterday the House of Representatives voted once again to pass the Save America Act, legislation that will require documentary proof of citizenship and voter ID in order to cast a ballot in federal elections. The final vote came in at 218 to 213. Only one Dem, Henry Queller, you remember he's the one that President Trump pardoned, breaking ranks to vote in favor. Every other Democrat voted against the measure, siding with their party leadership, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, in opposition to stricter election integrity requirements, because they want us to believe that it's somehow inherently racist to ask the American people just to verify that you're American. I mean, they've literally came out and said that minorities and blacks in this country are unable to obtain driver's licenses. I mean, I can't think of anything more offensive and stupid to say to anybody than what these Democrats do, and somehow they still get votes. So while House Republicans unified behind this bill, attention quickly shifted over to the Senate and Senate Majority Rhino John Thune. Now, in recent remarks, Thune appeared to dismiss any serious efforts to move the legislation forward under the current Senate rules. He said there aren't anywhere near close to the votes. What about the 60-vote filibuster threshold? Mike Lee revealed that only 44 Republican senators had agreed to co-sponsors and vote in favor of the bill. Thune's name was not on the list at the time he posted that. But quickly, very quickly, after the House decided to go ahead and post that and pass that through, John Thune finally signed on as a co-sponsor of the SAVE Act. Isn't that funny? Isn't it funny how things work with these people, folks? It's monkey see, monkey do. And we're supposed to believe and give money and support the Republican Party under the leadership of John Thune. I just don't get how these people have the intestinal fortitude to go out there and fundraise and ask people to give money when they know damn well they're not supporting the America First agenda. If the SAVE Act, if election integrity is not the America First agenda, then I don't know what is at this point. All right, folks, I don't want to leave it all in the locker room here. I want to bring in our guest today. He's a good friend of the show, great American, good friend of mine, Russ Tice, former senior NSA intel analyst and whistleblower. Russ, as always, a pleasure to have you with us here. It's been
good to be here.
Let's start with first. 28% of U.S. voter verifications have no match at the Social Security Administration, yet the Democrats tell us that voter ID is racist.
Well, what I found interesting about your statistic is, what about adding on the number of dead? What is that percentage? If 28 is nothing, what a percentage is? Yes, we have this person, but they're deceased. What percentage is that? That if that's, say, I don't know, if that's 7%, you've just jumped up to 35%. So it's pretty sad, isn't it?
Yet, when it comes time to passing the SAVE Act, you got Republicans who have been ununited on it. Now, to Mike Johnson, his demise on everything else, he was able to round up his people even yesterday on the final vote, getting Trump deranged Thomas Massey to come on and vote for it. Senate side's going to face a big hurdle. It's because we keep electing people like Susan Collins, people like Lisa Murkowski, or the guy out in Utah who I don't even know who took over from Mitt Romney. We'll call him Mitt Romney Jr. The same old people who continue to win elections, and they do not support American values. They do not support Republican values, Russ. It's a shame to me.
Well, as far as I know, the filibuster, there's no word of that in the Constitution. I've read the Constitution many times. I've never seen that word once. So we know as soon as the Democrats get back in there that they're going to trash it. So it's, we need to save our elections right now. As we're talking about, a lot of these people that don't exist or that are dead are returning their ballots, and they seem to always vote for the Democrat. Isn't that interesting? So
it's funny how it works. It's funny how that works. Right? The old joke used to be. Let me figure out what the heck it was. It was like the Democrats always come out on election day with an early lead, and the Republicans take over because they're working, and when they get home from work, they go out and vote. It's now the Democrats start out with an early lead, not only because they're not working, but because they're cheating, and they've got dead grandma and grandpa out there voting. It's absolutely insane. Every election day, my grandmother still gets a mail-in ballot. Now, she'd probably vote Democrat if she were alive today. She thought Jimmy Carter was the greatest president to ever walk. So God rest her soul. She was the greatest grandma ever. But when it came to politics, it wasn't for her. So if she were alive today, or she could vote, she'd probably be voting Dem. So a scary thought. Now, when it comes time, Russ, to crack down, not even the SAVE Act, crack down on something a lot bigger, the 2020 stolen election. They're out in Georgia in the last few weeks raiding some of the election centers over there. And Tulsi Gabbard happened to be nearby on the scene, the DNI, and it drove people absolutely nuts. Now, not just any people, it was the Marxist left. Absolutely nuts that why would Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, be on the scene as they're investigating this? Well, who else would be investigating if election were stolen, Russ?
Well, remember, we've kind of brushed this in the past. I just, from a CIA person, matter of fact, this is when I was overseas, and the little Chad thing was going on in Florida, hanging Chad. Remember that one?
Yeah.
The CIA fellow told me that CIA manipulates foreign elections by using, digging into their voting machines and doing monkey business in foreign elections. So who's to say that a foreign entity and or through CIA or without was involved in monkeying around with the 2020 election? I imagine the Chinese may have wanted someone else to win that election, not President Trump. So that leads me to believe that there may be a foreign tinge to this, because otherwise Ms. Gabbard shouldn't be there. They're right. If this was just totally a domestic issue, she shouldn't be there. She's dealing with intelligence. That's not her job. But if she's there, it makes me think maybe something else is going on here a bit deeper.
Yeah, and it's got people absolutely nuts. You know the funny thing, Russ, you and I were talking for a little bit as we do. By the way, Russ and I, before we come on and do the show, we could talk probably for 30 minutes to an hour, then come out here and do a show and talk for another hour. And there's still not an absence of things to talk about. And it's just Russ is a brilliant mind, folks. If you ever get to meet Russ Tice in person, consider yourself a lucky man. The stories, absolutely brilliant. So the interesting thing, Russ, we were talking before the show, is that you'd said to me, if they're coming for her and they're gunning for her, it means she's right over the target, which made me think, as you said that to me, the last time they came out against Tulsi Gabbard was when there was bad intel fed to her about Iran, to which she testified on Capitol Hill about it, to which apparently, I'm not sure if this is true, but it's reported that President Trump wasn't happy about it, but she was fed bad intel nonetheless. Now, you've got her over the target of the election stuff. And what does MS Now, not that I use MS Now anything more than dog toilet paper, but they're reporting Trump's spy chief, Tulsi Gabbard, is now in the hot seat as she heads to Capitol Hill over the next few weeks to testify. So now this is the second time in a year, which she's in the hot seat over two instances. What's your take on it?
Well, we've discussed, the fact that I believe that, the intel that she got about Iran, of course, was fed to her, and it was wrong. And she hasn't been in the business long enough to know that it was wrong, or didn't have anybody in her cadre that were smart enough to tell her that this is totally false, and you can't come out and say that. And where would she get that information from? That would come from the CIA. And who's the head of the CIA? Deep Stater Mr. Ratcliffe is the head of the CIA, which he needs to go up, a year ago. Wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. So she's fighting a battle, and she's probably she's fighting a battle from within. These people have the knives are not only from without. She's got to watch her back, because these dirks are going to come from behind. So in my opinion, that was a means to try to embarrass her and to try to get President Trump to fire her, because she kind of miffed that one up because she didn't know any better. Well, hopefully she's learning the hard way very quickly. Hopefully she's got some people she can trust that understand the esoterics of intel and have backgrounds, and they can tell her right from wrong. This most recent one, it sounds like they're coming after her again. So this thing in Georgia I think it's going to blow the lid. And as far as I know, there's apparently a bunch of ballots they can't even find in Georgia, that have disappeared. So they need to find out, and especially if there is a foreign aspect to this, that boy, wouldn't that be something if the Democrats were working in conjunction with a foreign entity, say the Chinese, to make sure President Trump didn't get elected. There's a word for that, John. It's called treason. That's the word. In a wartime, treason can get you hung from a rope from an oak tree. It's that's very interesting.
Well, yeah, when President Trump came out and mentioned that, they said he was calling for people to be killed, simply pointing out what the penalty for treason is. The other interesting aspect of it, Russ, is that Tulsi Gabbard now, and I don't know if she's being pressured. I don't think Tulsi's that kind of person. That she's easily pressured. But the Hill's reporting that Tulsi Gabbard is ending the targeting intel agency politicization. DNI Tulsi Gabbard on Tuesday said that she's ending a task force launched last year to target politicization what's inside different U.S. intel agencies. Task force, she said, was meant to be temporary. The problem I see with this, Russ, is I don't think that the work is done. I think now, more than ever, that there's deep staters inside of the three-letter agencies undermining President Trump and undermining his agenda that are just somehow low-lying. We didn't see reports of hundreds, thousands. Now, I don't know how many people work in these intel agencies. We could only speculate. You'd probably know the number. We can only speculate, though. I don't know how many are in there. We didn't hear about mass firings at DNI. We didn't hear about mass firings at the CIA. We didn't hear about mass firings at the NSA or one of the other, 14 or 15 other three-letter agencies, intel agencies.
Well, they got rid of the director of NSA and the deputy director. And I'd like to know what the catalyst for that was. President Trump shouldn't have trusted him. I would have gotten rid of the entire senior executive service, the SCS service at NSA, and all the 15s that jumped in their position. As soon as they jumped in, I got rid of them. Because if you're an SCS, you're at the pleasure of the president, and you're not in the GS protection system where you supposedly can't get fired. It didn't work out for me, but that's what they say. So it's no, I don't think they have weeded out the backstabbers and the deep staters. They're still there, and they're just kind of undercover. They're got the manhole over, and they're still there. And I just don't understand why she's doing this. We talked about the FBI. I think they're just stroking Patel's and the former Bongino's egos to, I was at NSA at a meeting, and Director Minahan was saying how he was going to shake things up when he was coming in. And then afterwards, a couple of SES were talking and said, look, we can put up with this clown for 2-3 years. He's going to be here and gone. We'll stroke his ego. We'll blow smoke up his caboose. And he'll be gone. And he obviously doesn't realize that he doesn't run the agency. We do, the senior executive service staff. So that's how they think, John, that we can wait somebody out, especially if they don't have the background in the intel service, especially in the SIGINT service. The three of the services got away with making sure that the officers that became the directors of signals intelligence services and the NSA didn't have to have a background in signals intelligence. The only service that did not do that was the Navy. They were the only smart ones. So you get someone like General Hayden in there. He was a ready room parrot, was Hayden. He would go as a junior officer,
evil man,
and he would tell pilots, he'd parrot what SIGINT had told him about what surface to air missiles might be here or there, what threats are. But he didn't know any better. He was a parrot, whatever the SIGINT guys told him to do. Then he becomes a director of NSA, and he doesn't know his caboose from a hole in the ground as far as the nuances of signals intelligence. So this sort of thing is happening where you get these people in there, and then they're manipulated. They're manipulated. Hayden wanted another star on his shoulder, and he did whatever W. Bush told him to do, and said, I don't care about the Constitution. Give me another star, and he got his star, and then became director of CIA. So that's the way it works, John, and Miss Gabbard needs to understand that, and I don't think her work is done there, and I disagree with that decision.
No, and I don't mean any harm to Tulsi. I think Tulsi, and I've been assured by many people, including Roger Stone, who's known Tulsi for years, and Tulsi it assures me, and I tend to agree with him, that she's really a good person, and she's being fed a bad batch, and I don't think she's going to stand for it. This is a strong woman who I think has the best interests of this country. The attention of this of the best country in her will, but there's people around her, Russ, who are just making it impossible. And I think President Trump probably sees right through it. I just don't understand why we've tolerated it for so long. We're more than a year into this. We're a year and almost a month now, and we're still tolerating leaks. We're still tolerating people inside of there. Do you think that we'll get some sort of sweep inside these agencies to clear them out once and for all, or it's going to be business as usual, 4 years in, 4 years out, 4 years in, 4 years out?
Here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that President Trump is being given the Faustian, bargain. In other words, the intel service is saying, Mr. President, we'll work with you, and we'll give you inside information, and we'll throw some bones your way, and you got to take the heat off of us. You got to play with us, and we're going to make sure you kind of get the stuff you want on the people that you want some information on. That's a Faustian bargain. That's just like I mentioned, if you know anything about Lord of the Rings, the one ring that can destroy the whole Middle Earth is everyone wants it, but as soon as they put it on their hand, the power goes to their head and it destroys them. So please don't fall for that Faustian deal, Mr. President, if that's what's going on here, as well as Miss Gabbard, if she's been mesmerized by their magic. Yeah. But
the problem with that is, Russ, is that Trump wasn't a politician. Now, most of these guys are like senators, or Obama was a senator, Bush was a governor. You go on and go back, to each and every president. These guys were all politicians, and they served in one form of the government or another. So they know exactly where the bodies are hidden. They know where you have to look. They know what you have to hide.
I'm excited to announce that we're having a huge sale on overstock and brand new products. For example, MyPillow Percale bed sheets, every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. Our Percale bed sheets are breathable, cool and crisp, and they're perfect for spring and summer. And check out Rev 7, the next generation of energy drinks. It tastes great, and it gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. Best of all, it's actually good for you. And for a limited time, try our 3-pack absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs, or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88. Twin size, full size, queen size, king sizes, all $29.88. Inventory is extremely limited at this price, so order now.
Well, folks, sorry, we had a little drop off there. Mysteriously, while talking with Russ, his camera quit off, and Russ lost total internet access for about the last half hour. Thankfully, he got it up. I'm sure it was just a coincidence, but this Russ says this was the first time this has ever happened to him. So, no snow outside, at least coming down from the sky. No rain outside. No tornadoes. No earthquakes that I know about. So, sort of peculiar, Russ, as we're talking about stolen elections and the NSA and CIA. That you lose.
I was willing to try everything. I'm looking for the little blue pills to try to get this thing back up, but
Crazy, man, crazy stuff. I was never one to be a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think there's anything that's a conspiracy anymore. I think everything needs to be vetted. So as we were saying, Russ, before we got unceremoniously cut off there, President Trump is not a politician. He doesn't know where to look. He doesn't know, where to find out where the bodies are buried. He relies on his folks to do that. And every other president, as I said, had that capability because they were senators, they were governors, they were congressmen. They were some form of government where they knew all the shady stuff that went on. But President Trump, unfortunately, and I guess fortunately in a way, didn't have that capability. So, what is he to do other than trust his people, right?
Yes, he has to trust his people. He has to make sure he has people that he can trust and that are knowledgeable enough to know the nuances of, and that's a tough deal because there's so many backstabbing deep staters out there that, his first entire term was the 4 years was almost stymied by the backstabbers. And, I think he's learned his lesson, but it's hard to find someone who knows the esoterics enough and that can be trusted. Yeah.
Let's talk about something, Russ, that's been a little bit interesting, and I've been following. I love the true crime stuff, and sad that this has happened. But the disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie, out in Arizona, sort of some interesting stuff. But we got some surveillance today. We're going to see if we can get it up on the screen so we can show the audience. But TMZ, which I think is so interesting, TMZ has been the ones who have come out with all this information. They're the ones who have somehow obtained all the videos. Somehow they're emailing through TMZ, the outlet, to fill them in on everything that's going on. Thankfully, we've got some new video surveillance that's come out. We're going to put it up on the screen here for the audience to see of this alleged person. Apparently, moments before rummaging through someone else's house, it appears wearing the same outfit. This is just out this morning. The same outfit as the man, the perpetrator. We now know as a man. I'm not sure why his face is blurred out. That's not in the best interest of the people. But this apparently wearing the same outfit, same backpack, same shirt, gun tucked into the crotch of his pants, as he is when he shows up to apparently Nancy Guthrie's house, trying to climb a fence here, and it looks like he aborts the mission. It turns out that's about 5 miles away, Russ, from the house of Nancy Guthrie. In the beginning, the reason I want to ask you about this is in the beginning they told us that her Nest doorbell camera didn't have any access to a subscription. Somehow they were able to pull the metadata from it, and somehow they got a video from it. Is that interesting to you?
I found this from the very jump. I thought this was quite interesting. People weren't picking up on the fact that why would a company who sells these systems and has to have logistics to support these systems, why would they have footage of something when someone's not paying for it? Yeah, unless someone else is paying for it. Now you would say, well, who else would pay for it, and who would randomly pick Miss Guthrie's mother? That doesn't sound viable. So it tells me that these systems are being monitored 24/7, whether people pay for them or not. And let's see, who would who several years ago was paying internet companies to spy on Americans, and that the information from Mr. Snowden pointed that out, that all that was being provided by he even showed the one document from, I do believe it was Verizon, that they were providing all the information to the NSA. So I suspect, I don't know this for sure, but I suspect NSA is paying the provider companies to make sure this information is being covered 24/7, whether they're paying for it or not. And then NSA is collecting all this data, just like we know they love to do. And that it's probably being stored, probably that big facility out there in Utah. And that even one of the FBI agents was talking about this and said, our agency part, we got this information, and we're, so of course the FBI likes to take credit for everything, but they mentioned the help of other agencies, partner agencies, I think they refer to it as. That tells me NSA provided this information to the FBI, but now they've blown the fact that they're monitoring everybody's door cameras surreptitiously, whether they like it or not. And the NSA can turn on your cell phone when you think it's turned off. They can turn on the camera on your cell phone if you think it's turned off and listen to whatever you're saying. They can turn on your smart TV, monitor, camera, audio if you have both, or just audio if you have audio as your smart TV. They can turn it off and on, and you wouldn't even know it unless you had something that could measure the power differences.
And you were one of the people to blow the whistle on this, and it's what your job.
Boy, maybe it'd be nice. It may be the key fact in finding this guy, but this brings up huge privacy issues, and it's still illegal to do this under FISA. And I think I mentioned before with the Jack Smith hearings that he supposedly only went after metadata for congressmen and senators and House members and some other folks. Well, why would he only want the metadata? That's only going to tell you, who someone talks with, their wife, whoever, doctor's appointment, maybe their mistress. That's something to get them on to, blackmail them with.
Sure.
So, which is, I think, what NSA has been doing for many, many years. But that's not going to get a nitty gritty of word for word. And if you're going to find any dirt and he's looking for dirt, obviously, is the junkyard jackal dog that he is, you want the word for word. And I'll bet you dollars to donuts that he was getting that information on the sly from NSA, either through the Justice Department at that time / FBI. I doubt that he'd be getting it directly from NSA. But and then after that, you find out some dirt that you can build on somebody. You find an alternate source. It's called parallel construction. And if you take them to court, you never bring up the fact that you had word for word. You bring up the fact that you had the metadata by a FISA court that's compromised also, and never should have allowed that to happen. And you come up with something else, and the fact that they got word for word from NSA never ever comes out.
Sneaky. The reason I asked you about this, Russ, is we had the Super Bowl this past Sunday. And there was a commercial from the company Ring doorbell cameras. And, I didn't watch any of the commercials on the Super Bowl, but I saw on Twitter that everyone was going absolutely berserk about this one Super Bowl commercial from Ring. And I want to roll the commercial for the audience here, and we're going to watch it together if you didn't see it.
Pets are family. But every year, 10 million go missing. And the way we look for them hasn't changed in years. Until now. One post of a dog's photo in the Ring app starts outdoor cameras looking for a match. Search Party from Ring uses AI to help families find lost dogs. Since launch, more than a dog a day has been reunited with their family. Be a hero in your neighborhood with Search Party. Available to everyone for free right now. Join the neighborhood at ring.com.
So people went absolutely berserk after that happened. They showed a picture there. You think about how many people have Ring doorbell cameras and Nest cameras. If you put them all together, Russ, and you put together the purview of camera that the picture that they take that funnels out, you have probably, I would say, 90% of a neighborhood, 90% of a street, if not 100% of a street, covered with 24-hour surveillance whether you want it on or not.
Here's another thing, John. I noticed in where I live here in Maryland, Central Maryland, they're putting up these cameras over top all the major intersections of all the road intersections all over the state. I mean, and this is different from the normal, the auto camera, the boom, you ran the light or you went over the speed limit, we're going to send you a $60 ticket. Nonsense. But they're putting them everywhere. So you connect with that monitoring, with the state monitoring, with all these daggone cameras at all these intersections, and we are totally watched. And the fact that when you can say, "Oh, Siri, what's the temperature in Wellington right now?" And they can tap into that, or your baby monitor, or your TV, like we discussed. And they have total monitoring of everything you do, your cell phone, the things you have in your, and your car, the emergency thing, whether you have that. Cars put that in there automatically. My car has it. And I tried to figure out how to get it taken out, and they said they can't take it out because it would destroy the electrical system or something. So the little microphone, I put this thing over top of it to mute the microphone that's right over top of my head in my car.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Would you say, Russ, it's safe to say that we as American citizens, privacy rights, any of that good stuff aside, are being surveilled 24 hours a day, every single place we go, whether it be cell phone, camera tracking, car tracking, any of that stuff?
Absolutely. They know everything we do anytime they do it. And if NSA is involved and they're storing this stuff, that means they can go back in time. Say it's 12 years from now, they can go back in time and see where you went today, where anyone went today or what they were doing today. Were they at home lounging, watching the TV? Were they out on the road doing something? They can find out anything you were doing, from years and now to the past to the, can't you go in the future, but whatever you did for as long as they've been doing. NSA has that facility open there in Utah since December 2013. That means they have every conversation, every text, every phone call, voice phone call, every fax, word for word, stored in that facility in Utah. How come Congress will not bring NSA and say, are you doing this now? And by the way, you're under oath, and if you lie to us, we're going to put you in the clink. And aside from the fact that the FISA violations are 5 years and $5,000 for one violation. How come no one in Congress will bring that up? When Jackal Smith was there, not one congressman said, oh, by the way, is it just metadata, or are you getting word for word from NSA, from FBI, from any agency, or via a surrogate that's working through the intelligence community or the Department of Justice? That's what should have been asked by someone. And oh, by the way, you're under oath. And then have Tulsi Gabbard find out the truth if NSA is doing this, and then put them in jail for doing this.
They're not dumb, the politicians. Well, they are dumb, but not dumb in the sense, or ignorant to the sense of what's going on. Before we wrap, Russ, I want to get your take on also something that's been in the news headlines lately, and something particularly we spoke about on the show, was Jeffrey Epstein's body, and it was being removed. And we're not going to talk about Epstein, but we're going to talk about the interesting thing behind his body being removed. As I read in the Daily Mail yesterday, that they faked a body removal to bring his body out of the jail to let the media follow that body to wherever they brought it, the coroner's office, I guess, which I don't even know why they had to bring it there. They know exactly how he died, if he died. And there was a body double, which they brought in a separate van that they didn't want the media to follow. Now, the interesting thing about it was there's areas in jails or prisons or whatever where you could park a car into a garage, into a loading bay, where there is absolutely no cameras, and no cameras in a sense, I mean media, which is what they allegedly were worried about, can take pictures of these people leaving. They could have brought it out in an Escalade. They could have brought it out in a different car. Didn't have to be in the coroner's van. But did you find it odd that they felt the need to do some sort of body double to sneak his body out of the coroner's office? And who cares if the media is following you? They know where the body's going. They know what's happening. He's allegedly dead. Do you think that's odd?
Who cares? Okay, the paparazzi, the media's got a string of people following you to the morgue. Who cares? Unless they're going to see something that they're not supposed to see. I don't know. The blanket slips off and you see the whatever. Doesn't look like someone hung themselves, but it looked like a ligature was put around their neck and then choked to death, or someone's very large hands crushed the bones in their throat, like the one coroner or the one independent autopsy fella said that this is very unusual, and it looks like their throat was crushed by someone choking them to death, not hanging. And all the rest of the evidence that's out there, the cameras that disappeared, the no evidence, and the protocol that wasn't followed, and the guards conveniently falling asleep, and all these things coming together. There might be a tad of truth in some of that. It might be a specious to a teeny point, but I think even a 5-year-old could see through this. This man was assassinated, and the only people that can do that it would be CIA in conjunction with some people with a lot of money. Maybe like some billionaires who didn't want to have their name broadcast that they were buggering these little girls. They have money, so.
The problem that surrounds all of this, right? And like that interview that Bongino and Cash did, where it was like they were guns held to their head, where they're like, "No, trust us. This is what happened." The problem with all of this is it makes people speculate things, and there's been rumor speculation now that people are saying, according to some online forums, that Epstein might not even be dead. And then you got people come out, they're like, "Oh, well, those are crazy conspiracy theorists." Well, the only reason these people are conspiring against anything is because we were never given a full picture. We're tax-paying citizens. We pay for everything that these people are doing. We pay for the investigations. We pay for that jail. Here in New York, I'm a New York tax-paying citizen. I pay for that jail to be subsidized. All we want is the truth, Russ. And I feel like in this situation, we've been giving everything but the truth. And now, like every little thing that trickles out, I try not to be a conspiracy theorist and I try not to even think about this stuff. But every little thing that seeps out now, it's like, well, if they're telling us the truth, then why did they have to do this? If they're telling us the truth on this, then why was this way? And as you said with Michael Bodden, if they're telling us the truth and he literally just wrapped a noose around his neck and hung himself from a bed, yes, you're right. His 100 neck bones aren't going to be broken because he didn't do it. He didn't kick a chair out from underneath him from a 100-foot ceiling and jump down with 200 pounds of force. So they wonder why we're speculating. And you couple it all together and you're like, none of this makes any sense. And as Lou used to tell me, if something doesn't seem right or something smells wrong, I guess that's about the same thing, lift up the carpet, there's probably a mouse under there. And it seems to me that there's a whole entire rat infestation under this government cover-up.
Well, it's more than likely. And I think the first prosecutor said it down there in Florida, that he was told that this guy was an asset for the intelligence services. Yeah. So if he's being run by the CIA to line people up, to get these guys to messing with these young ladies, girls, and then using that for blackmail purposes. And believe me, the nihilists at CIA have no problem doing something like that. That they could care less that a 14-year-old is being trafficked for this kind of nefarious purposes, and or they're using other services like MI6 or Mossad or whoever else. Then if that truth comes out, that's a big one, John. It's huge news, and that really puts everything to the grind. And our buddy Radcliffe is going to have to cough up some answers, and even President Trump. If President Trump doesn't know that this is being done, he needs to know. If he knows and he's not saying anything, then he's not the man that I voted for. So. I like I said, he was assassinated. I'm an intelligence analyst, and it doesn't take much to figure this one out. The question is
go ahead. Sorry,
it's going to take an awful lot of logistics to get this done. You got to pay. Like I said a long time ago, those 2 guards. I bet those 2 guards right now are living quite large. They have new homes. They have swimming pools in their backyards. They have new Cadillacs in their driveway. They're doing quite well they're on paper they're a guard at some big corporation somewhere, and the judge, I'm sure he's retired and he's basking in Boca Raton, with his feet in the sand and with a Mai Tai. These people have been paid off, and whoever fixed the camera, whoever the camera dude is, he's doing quite well. That just automatically didn't work. So this thing is huge, and it's being covered up. And Mr. Trump, Mr. President, please do the right thing and bring this out. Okay, it might show that our own intelligence services were involved, but the people need to know the truth. And we are the taxpayers. We paid for this. Now, I'm sure maybe some of the bribe money is being shipped by people that are billionaires that don't want the fact that they were involved in it. And think about it. How many people have been arrested so far?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yep.
Except for Maxwell.
People.
She's in a low key,
Oh, she's going crazy in there, though. She's going stir crazy for sure. The fastest way to get people to shut up and stop talking about it, which I want everyone to shut up and stop talking about too, is just be honest and let it all out there. That's the easiest way. And
it's going to be super ugly if they have to come out with the truth, John, because I'm pretty sure I know our intelligence services were involved in this, and a lot of people with a whole lot of money.
And this isn't President Trump. I mean, this is long before President Trump's time that all of this happened, the non-prosecutorial agreement down in Florida. The whole thing has just been nasty all the years through, and now somehow President Trump has got himself caught in the middle of it because he happens to be the president of the United States at the time. Crazy stuff, Russ. Crazy stuff. We could probably talk for another hour and a half, Russ. I appreciate you joining us, and I apologize greatly about that internet mishap. And I
don't think it was your fault, and I can't figure out on my end. Maybe someone didn't like me saying something about the CIA mucking with people's voting machines overseas.
Crazy.
I don't know, but yeah, just poof, gone. I had to take on my jacket because I had to crawl underneath the desk to find the router to mess with the router. So that's why I'm not wearing my jacket.
Well, we're glad you got it fixed, Russ, and just apologiz to the NSA and the CIA and let them know you won't do it again because you're a good boy. And I'm sure you guys can make a deal that your internet won't unceremoniously be unplugged ever again.
I'd like for them to call me up and say something about back pay. Keep my mouth shut. And I get on my back pay for the last 20-some years.
Maybe you're talking. That.
So the next time if you call and I'm not available, and I've got my own island down there in the Caribbean or something, then you'll know I got paid off too.
Crazy. Well, Russ, it was always a delight talking with you, and we've had a great deal of fun. Come back soon, my friend.
All right, it's always a pleasure, John. Have a good day.
Folks, Russ Tice, great American, former NSA senior intel analyst and whistleblower, and great American, great friend of mine, and was a great friend of the great Lou Dobbs. A lot of greats here. We'll see you back here tomorrow, folks, on the Great American Show, Truth, Justice, and the American Way. Tomorrow we're live from New Orleans, so we will see you there. That's all for us today, folks. Until then, may God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow.